Today I'm going to teach you the origin of personality. In the previous time I told you the types of personality. These are physical personality and artificial personality. For today what we'll discuss is about the origin of physical personality, how individuals grant the confer of personality, or how individuals grant the confer of physical personality is what we'll discuss for today. Let's begin. There are two origin of personality. There are two way of originity of physical personality. Thus, the first one, that is the first one by birth, and the second one is by conception. Let's see how we grant the confer of personality by birth and how individuals grant the confer of personality by conception. Or what do you mean by birth and what do you mean conception? When it's by birth mean it is wholly brought into separate existence. It is what? Wholly brought into separate existence. Wholly brought into separate existence. This means separation of child from mother womb, or personality originate from the time of separation of child from mother womb. Separation of child from mother womb is the so-called by birth. And the other thing is by conception. When you say by conception, means birth by itself is not satisfactory for the origin of personality. So there are the other way for the origin of what personality, which is conception. Conception means it is the way of granting personality for conceived child. It is a way of the confer of personality for who? For conceived child. Conceived child. This is what do you mean conception. How we grant by conception for conceived child means the way of granting confer of personality for unborn child. It is what? For whom? Unborn child. For unborn child. Within a normal condition, unborn child did not get the confer of what? Personality. But there are situations that allow to grant the confer of personality for unborn child. Let's see what are the conditions. The three conditions must be fulfilled. ምንድነው? ሰውነትን ክብርን የምናገኝበት ወይም ሰው የሚለውን ነገር የምናገኝበት ሰው እንደነው በፍትሐ ብሔር ሕጋችን አንቀጽ 1 ላይ እንደሚለን ሰው ማለት መብትና የግዴታ ተጠቃሚ መሆን፣ መብትን ኤክሰርሳይዝ ማድረግና ግዴታን የመወጣት መቻል የሰውነት መገለጫ ነው ብለናል። ይሄን ኤክሰርሳይዝ ማድረግ ስንችል ነው። ኦሪጂኔት የምናደርገው በሁለቱ ነው ብለናል። ባይ በርዝ ወይም በመወለድና በኮንሰፕሽን ነው። መወለድ የሚለው አንድ ልጅ ከእናቱ ማህፀን የተለየበት ቀን ጀምሮ በርዝ ነው። ከዛ ጀምሮ ኮንፈር ኦፍ ፐርሰናሊቲን ያገኛል። ኮንሰፕሽን የምንለው ደግሞ ማህፀን ላይ ላለ ልጅ ወይም ላልተወለደ ልጅ within normal condition ሳይሰድ ምን ብለናል? ኮንፈር ኦፍ ፐርሰናሊቲ ላልተወለደ ልጅ ሊሰጥ አይችልም። ነገር ግን due to different conditions we may grant. For example, if the conceived child higher for what? Succession. Higher for succession, we may grant what? Confer of personality. But to grant, actually, if the child had for succession, for example, there are 3 conditions to grant the confer of personality. That is, there are 3 conditions. That is the first one. If the child have what? Interest. If the child have a special interest. If the child have for interest. The second condition is born alive. And the third condition is viability. If the child is what? Viable. If those 3 conditions fulfill, the unborn child may get the confer of personality. Let's see each one by one. What do you mean the child has special interest? By birth, born alive, and viability principles. This actually, the way of granting confer of personality for conceived child exists under Civil Code of Ethiopia under Article 2 በፍትሐ ብሔር ሕጋችን አንቀጽ 2 ላይ በማህፀን ላይ ያለ ልጅም ስፔሻል ተጠቃሚ የሚሆን ከሆነ ቪያብል የሚሆን ከሆነ ቦርን አላይቭ የሚሆን ከሆነ ኮንፈር ኦፍ ፐርሰናሊቲ እንሰጠዋለን ይላል። ስፔሻል ኢንተረስት የሚለው እስኪ ምንድነው የሚለው ነገር ነው። the first one if the child had for a special sexual if the child have special interest የሚለውን እስኪ እንየው። child have special interest means if the child become beneficiary, if the child become beneficiary, the law grant the confer of personality. Example, as I said there, example, if something succession, if the child hire for succession, this is special interest for what? Or the child will become what? Beneficiary. But to grant the confer of personality by interest due to the existence of succession, the asset must greater than what? Liability. Otherwise, if the liability greater than the asset, the conceived child still never grant the confer of personality, because the child never hire for what? Succession. Because the money is left to liability, or the property left to what? The liability. So the asset must be greater than the liability. This is, and if there is something compensation that emanates through parents, በቤተሰብ የሚመጣ ካሳ ካለ የወርስ ጉዳይ የሚነሳ ከሆነ in this situation ምን እንሰጣለን? ማህፀን ላለ ልጅ የሰውነት ክብር ይሰጠዋል፣ እንዲወርስ ሊደረግ ይችላል፣ የበለፊቱ ተጠቃሚ እንዲሆን ሊደረግ ይችላል ማለት ነው። ይህን ለማድረግ ንብረቱ ከምን ሊበልጥ ይገባል? ከዕዳ ሊጠበቅ ይገባል። For example, let me tell you one case. Mr. Alex, or let's say Mr. Alex is a businessman and he run great business, and then is in this situation he do have share company and other properties by his own name, and Almaz is his Alex wife. Then assume Almaz become pregnant or conceived, and Alex died due to car accident, let's say. In this situation, there is no other child for Almaz and Alex. So the only guy who hired for succession is what? The conceived child. So this child will have what? Interest. And the confer of personality grant for him if the child born what? Alive. The interest already have, but if the child have born in alive and viable, the confer of personality grant for this child. Because if you deny the confer of personality for this guy. He lost his father. At the same time, we deny what? Inheritance. So to protect his rights or to make him beneficiary, the law grants the confer of personality for this child. But as I said, it must be born alive. So the second condition, let's say, the second condition, born alive. The conceived child must be what? Born alive. በህይወት መወለድ መቻል አለበት. Meaning that abortion, if the child is aborted, the law do not grant the confer of personality for this aborted child. So it has to be born alive. Mortal, shell mortal also means to what? Deny the confer of personality for this conceived child. So the other option is born, the child must be born alive. And the third condition is viability. Viability. Viability means the child must stay up to the born child must stay up to 48 hours. 48 hours. It exists under Civil Code of Ethiopia under Article 3. በፍትሐ ብሔር ሕጋችን አንቀጽ 3 ላይ ምን ይላል? የቀጣይነት የአንድ ልጅ ቀጣይ ነው ሊባል የሚችለው ምን ሲሆን ነው? If the child stay, sub article 1 ላይ if the child stay up to 48 hours, we say that the child is viable, and we say that we grant the confer of personality for this conceived child. ለዚህ ልጅ ምን ሰጥዋለን ይላል? confer of personality grant እናደርጋለን. Otherwise, if the child, sub article 2 ላይ ምን ይላል? If the child born with full healthy condition and died before 48 hours due to accident, still the law treat him as a person. The law treat him as a person. Meaning that, let's mention, Almaz gave birth and her son died within 46 hours due to, let's say, car accident. In this situation, the child, as of the expression of civil law, the child is not what? Viable, because it did not stay up to 48 hours. But the law treats him as a person, since the born child is born with full healthy condition, and since he died what? Due to accident, the conceived child treated as a person. On the other hand, if Almaz is infected by HIV/AIDS, and the child also born with HIV/AIDS and died at the same time within 46 hours, in this condition, the born child never treated as what? Person, not person, because the child is not what? Viable. This exists under Civil Code of Ethiopia under Article 3, Sub-Article 3. በፍትሐ ብሔር ሕጋችን አንቀጽ 3 Sub-Article 3 ላይ ምን ይላል? አንድ ልጅ በጤነኝነት ሳይወለድ ወይም በበሽታ ምክንያት ወይም ታሞ ከሆነ ወይም በተለያዩ ዲፌክቶች 48 ሰዓት ሳይሞላው ከሞተ ይህ ልጅ ምን ሊሆን አይችልም? የተወለደ ልጅ ቀጣይነት እንዳለው ተደርጎ ሊቆጠር አይችልም። ሰብ አርቲክል 1 ላይ ግን በአደጋ ከሞተ ምን ሊሆን ይችላል ይላል? እንደቀጠለ ተደርጎ ሊቆጠር ይችላል ይላል። This is what do you mean the expression of viability. So to grant the confer of personality for conceived child, the three conditions must be fulfilled. ስለዚህ የአልማዝንና የአሌክስን ኤግዛምፕል እንደተናገርኩትኝ አሌክስ ቢዝነስ አለው በስሙ let's mention 1 ሚሊዮን ገንዘብ ነው ያለው እንበል 1 ሚሊዮን ገንዘብ ኖሮት ሚስቱ ነፍሰ ጡር ነበረች ሳትወልድ ሞተች let's say የ3 ወር ናት ብንል በዚህ ሲቹዌሽን ብትሞት በራሱ ስም ንብረት ስላለ ሌላ ልጅ ከሌለ ንብረቱ ሊሆን የሚችለው ልጅ ከሌላቸው በራሱ ስም ከሆነ it may left to what the parents ለቤተሰብ ሊሆን ይችላል። ስለዚህ ቤተሰቦች ይገባኛል ጥያቄ ቢያነሱ and if Almaz say that I'm pregnant, the law treat them this child as what? A person. ለልጁ ለውርስ ሊያበቃው ይችላል። ምን ካለ ሊያቢሊቲው ከእዳ ካለበት የሚበልጥ ሆኖ ከተገኘ እናን ምን ከሆነ ልጁ በጤነኝነት ከተወለደ the other thing viable ከሆነ ቀጣይት ከሆነ እናን conception እንዴት ነው ሊረጋገጥ የሚችለው? how we prove conception start from the time of conception, that is 300 die before birth. ኮንሰፕሽን ሊረጋገጥ የሚችለው ወይም ኮንሲቭድ ነው ለማለት አንድ ነፍሰ ጡር ናት ልንለው የምንችለው ነፍሰ ጡር ናት ለማለት ይህ ልጅ እስከ 300ኛው ቀን ድረስ መወለድ መቻል ወይም ከተወለደበት ወደ ኋላ 300 ቀን ድረስ ተቆጥሮ ይህች ሴት ኮንሲቭድ ናት ተብሎ ሊቆጠር ይችላል ይነናል የፍትሐ ብሔር ሕጋችን። this is all about for today.